It's being reported today that energy costs could increase further under new government levies on gas. Well, business expert Michael Wilson joins us now. Good morning to you, Michael. Thanks so much for getting up early on your Saturday, as you always do. Steel bosses are saying that the government has offered no solution to the energy problem. And now Bank of England is threatening... No, sorry, that's a completely different story. We're moving down in the auto queue. So the government has offered no solution to the energy problem. Tell us a little bit more about that. That's what steel bosses are saying, aren't they?
Yeah, so there was a meeting yesterday of the Energy Intensive Users Group, which includes steel, which includes ceramics, which includes bricks and so on. People who, companies which use a huge amount of electricity, for example, a huge amount of other energy to make what they do. And the fact is we're facing, as you know, never mind winter of discontent, the future, the sort of mid-term future, is an increase in infrastructure spending. So all these things are going to be absolutely vital. Now, what these bosses have been saying to Kwasi Kwarteng, the business secretary, is that, look, we need some help, basically, as far as industry is concerned, because energy prices are rising. We all know that. The rise is enormous since the beginning of the year, around about 250%, maybe even more. It depends which one you actually measure. He himself, Kwasi Kwarteng, has been saying all week during the Tory party conference and before, we will not be bailing out failing companies. It's not the government's job to do that. Well, the companies like the Steel UK, for example, beg to differ about that. They say actually in Europe, there's been a lot of help for industries which are facing high energy costs. So that's what the dissatisfaction is about. Actually, the truth of it is that it's not really in our politicians' control within the UK. They can put a cap on prices if they wish, but the fact of the matter is that overseas, particularly as far as China's concerned, as far as Russia's concerned, there are big changes taking place. China, for example, is suffering its own energy crisis, and it's buying stocks of coal up, for example, from all the way around the world, buying up anything to keep its energy industries actually going. That's number one. Number two, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that Russia is putting some leverage on the rest of Europe by restricting, or has been restricting, the amount of gas actually coming from them into Europe. Now, it's not a huge amount as far as the UK economy is concerned, but it's certainly adding to wholesale prices. And there is nothing that this government can actually do about that. It may be able to give some short-term help, but in the future, and you add to that the increased costs you've just been talking about, which green energy is going to cause, and you have a big problem. So this is not something that's really within the government's remit to do. It's much more about business actually doing it for themselves, which of course business doesn't like at all. I mean, it's looking to the government now to give it some help.
So just if you can help me understand this, Michael, the government surely can't introduce this levy on gas at a time when the prices are rising, and they're going to put them up even further. That just won't wash politically. I know they've got this climate conference on the way and they want to look good for that, but people just won't wear it, will they?
Well, it depends. You know, if you're privately talking about whether you're interested in your business and your family surviving, then to be absolutely honest, all the green stuff and the paraphernalia with that goes out the window, because you're looking at survival. And you don't find much chat about this in developing countries. It's only when you get a fat economy like ours used to be where you can actually start talking about these kind of things. So you're absolutely right. There is a conflict here between the amount of cost that going green is going to be, which I think is going to be considerable, and we still do not know how much that's going to cost. We've not been told that. And we have a big conference, as you've been referring to, COP26, which is happening in November, where countries from all the way around the world will come to show off their green credentials. I mean, look at China, for example. China supposed to have green credentials. Now it's saying, do you know what? We've got an energy crisis. Buy up coal. They've even been buying coal from Australia, 400,000 tons during the week, according to shipping experts. And the reason that's surprising is there's supposed to be a ban on importing coal from Australia. But no, the Chinese are going ahead with that. So they've had the Golden Week holiday. Now they're coming back and exerting real pressure on the international energy markets. That's what's happening right now. So you're absolutely right. There will be, and I hope we'll be reflecting this, we're still talking, which I hope we will be, during COP26. What does it mean? Why? How much will this greening actually cost? That's going to be an absolutely vital question to ask. I suspect that we won't get it answered that week, but we'll see.
Yeah. Michael, the Bank of England is warning over the threat of a sharp market fall amid jitters around the economy. Tell us a bit more about that.
I'm surprised, actually, it's not happened before. What they're talking about is a correction, which is anything over 10% of the stock market actually falling. This is the international stock, FTSE 100, and also the domestic, slightly larger 250 index. Here's what's happening as far as the Bank of England is concerned. They have a new economist called Hugh. H-U-W, Pill, Hugh. Hugh is a bit of a hawk, and he's already been saying that he thinks that inflation is here to stay. The implication of that is that interest rates will be rising sooner rather than later if he has his sway on the Monetary Policy Committee. It shifts the balance of the Bank of England to more hawks, thus more interest rates happening more quickly. And I know you had the estimable woman from Zoopla on earlier this morning. I sort of agree with what she's saying. She's saying that buying houses in terms of proportion to people's income, that the actual money that you'd have to put aside to do that is doable right now. I think that what's going to happen is it doesn't matter, even if there's a tiny increase in interest rates, because interest rates are so low, proportionately, the amount of money that you'll actually be spending on your mortgage will be huge, and it will increase hugely. That's what we're facing right now. So in other words, we've got now a slightly more hawkish central bank, which is actually looking at rising inflation, and as soon as interest rates start to go up, yes, market will fall. I'm surprised it happens before. I wouldn't be worried too much about a market fall, much more worried about the rise in interest rates.